Yes, you read the thumbnail right. There are 100,000 tech layoffs in 2024 so far globally. So you see that report that I just showed on, and then the exact number is right here. Those are the numbers that we know. Probably the dark numbers, probably way higher than that, because they can't monitor every tech startup. You know what I mean, right? When they can't monitor all that kind of stuff. The news of the day that we've actually reached 100,000 layoffs. That is super devastating. And now let's kind of root back to the cause why. So check out this little crazy Twitter Twitter post or something that somebody posted on Twitter, and they posted the statistics. So actually they've just posted the statistics. So check that out. So it's basically saying that there has been a surge in emails or in documents that are like automation. So they're actually looking for way more for operational efficiency. That's the exact word. I needed to look it up to make sure that I used the right word. And they said there were a spike in operation efficiency. So now I'm looking at it like, okay, tech companies need to streamline. Operations efficiency need to happen, right? That's kind of how you stay in business. And so it comes to me, it's like, how much can you optimize? How much can you optimize, right? There's only so much you can do to optimize. So I'm looking at it like, if you are spending $100 to generate $102, probably not a good return on your money because it's 2%, right? So now I'm looking at it like, what are the profits? That's how kind of you measure it, right? The profits. How do we measure, or how do we look up the profits of of some of these big companies, right? And then I came about this article right here that basically said that 136 companies were responsible for 40%, almost 38% of all global profits. And so they had a little graph and they showed the whole world and all that, you know, according to the stock market, right? And I was just like, how much profits do you need, right? How much profits does one company need to make in order to be like, you know what, let's just sustain and innovate and do something else? Then it's just profits. Because my question comes to, okay, so your profits are up at all-time highs. What, how else can you grow the business? Or how else can you make it even more profitable, right? So at one point, it just becomes a game, I believe. At one point, it's just a game of chess where you do this move, then they do that move, and you kind of keep moving and kind of playing a game of chess with each other, right? And so I was looking at it like, okay, let's see what artificial intelligence thinks how you can increase profitability, right? Because they probably got some good ideas, something that I haven't thought of. And so I gave it like a little, like a few phrases, and I said, hey, how do I, as a CEO, how do I increase, my profitability? And it says, increase the revenue, expand to new customer base, develop new product services, upsell to existing customers, right? So that is, common in the business where you're trying to upsell your existing customer. That's an easy sale. If you're in the retail space, you launch a new, a more high-end brand, and you kind of, do it like that. So I was like, okay, that's one way of doing it. I like that. Then it's a decrease costs, streamlining operations, negotiating better deals with suppliers, cut unnecessary expenses. So that's how you decrease cost. So looks to me like streamlining operations doesn't mean that you lay off people, and negotiate better deals with supplier. You also don't really lay off people, right? And cutting unnecessary expenses. I hope that your unnecessary expenses aren't employees. So what AI is probably meaning or saying is that if if you have so much waste, you should probably cut down, or recycle, or do something else, or sell your waste to somebody, and you can increase profits again, right? So then it said, improve efficiency, automate tasks, invest in employee training, optimize processes. So you basically do, you automate some tasks, you hire a programmer to automate a few tasks, invest in employee training. It's crazy that they're not saying to let employees go like they all doing, right? So optimizing processes, yes. So, you invest in better equipment, that gets you, if you have a trucking fleet, you invest in more fuel efficient trucks, so they can move better, or they can carry more load, or you streamline them, you put some aerodynamic shields on it, and to make them run more efficient. That is talking, right? You review pricing, ensure your pricing aligns with market value, so making sure you're not price gouging and you're not losing to competitors because you're too cheap, right? So you want to be fairly priced. So consider raising prices if warranted. Yep. Manage inventory and enhance customer service. So build a loyal and repeat business, right? So one thing that I feel like this all said was basically focus on your customers, provide them more value, and do better as a company. And nowhere in there did it say lay them all off. Lay them all off and just be done with them. And that's how you increase profitability. Only if they say, hey, you're unnecessary, just we'll cut you now and you're done. And I get that in a few cases. I know people are going to say, my company fused and there were 2 HR departments, and so they didn't need that. Yes, I get that. And when your company's mismanaged, like Rivian or something else, where they can't sell enough cars, they took too much they took too much, they grew too much and they couldn't do it, or like Fisker Ocean, with the car sales that they, tried to do something innovative and it kind of backfired. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about these big companies like Google that are laying off, tens of thousands of people, and not really, and not really actually thinking about the people or retraining them or investing in new technology, because I know they're super highly profitable, but at one point a startup will come and eat their lunches, and then they're just gonna have to either buy them or do something else with them. So I'm just like, you just gotta do the right thing. And I feel like once you're such an executive at such a high level, you're not hanging out with the normal people. You're in your circle and you're basically within all the riches. You guys let me know if that's what you guys also think, or let me know if you disagree or not. But if you're not thinking about the employees that build your business, how great of a company do you have? And how great of a business do you really, really have, right? Because yeah, I get, Google's great and whatnot, but I don't think anybody of us is relying on Google and is like a Google fan or something, and they're not like Apple. Like Apple has a cult following, people buy their products, they wait outside. But that is also dwindling, right? Because people are tired of the new iPhones. The last one is just like the other one, and they don't know why they should invest in a new $1,700 iPhone each, what is it, like a year or 6, 7, 8 months that they release a new product and you camp outside. I knew at the first few iPhones, it was revolutionary. It was great. So I see huge similarities with Apple and Tesla. People were running into Tesla stores, and now you can buy them way, way cheaper. And when you think about it, Tesla, Apple's kind of in the same spot where they're going to at one point have to discount their products and actually give some discounts and try to move their stuff, because the Oculus, no, that's the Meta one. The Apple glasses also didn't catch on, and that costed millions. If I know Apple, probably billions in development and all these other things, and that flopped. So they're like, oh, we're going to stop production and do all that. So off to the next project. Could have taken off, could have not, right? But you don't need to let people off. You just move them on to the next project. And maybe the glasses version 1 or version 2 didn't fit, but version 3 and 4 is going to be killer. So now I'm just thinking, do these executives all want to be like Elon Musk and race to Mars? I feel like once you're that high, that when you can buy everything, you just kind of want to go to the You can buy everything on the planet. So you're like, oh, let me go to Mars. And there's so many other stuff here that's not right. But it's like, hey, let's just head to Mars and figure some stuff out over there. Let's race to Mars. And yeah, I get that, there's going to be innovation done and whatnot. But people are struggling. People are really struggling with these layoffs. And I read a lot of you guys that said, oh, if they're going to lay me off as a tech worker, I'm going to start working at my family's food truck and scale that business. And I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea. And I think a lot of people are thinking about that. And when more and more people become entrepreneurs, more and more people are going to be better human beings. And what do I mean by that? Because what do I mean by that? I mean that if you're in sales or running a business during sales, you have the ABC of sales, always be closing. So if you run your own shop, you run your own business, you run your own store or something else, you got to get foot traffic in, you got to hustle. You don't have weekends, you don't have vacation time. You just got to hustle till you have enough money to pay for it, to pay other people to do your job, and then you move on, right? And that is very, very valuable if you move on and you gain all these skills. Because if you can grow a business, small family business, you can grow probably a bigger business also, right? So there's huge value in people that can take on these skills. And guess what? If you're going to be a business owner, you know how hard it's going to be with other people actually, when they're shitty customer service, when they're going to give you attitude and customers, and you are going to be one of these people that are like, man, sometimes I was rude to service, or sometimes I was rude to this. And now all of a sudden, you're facing these customers, what you did. Karma, right? So when you used to complain about, oh, my foot is, like my food isn't done right, it's not salty enough, it's not this, not that, and you complained a lot, and now you're running your own business, guess what? You now have to deal with the same people as you were. So karma's right back at you, and just got to work with it, right? Just like I did, had to freaking work in customer service, and you're going to test all different. You're going to be the accountant, you're going to be the bookkeeper, you're going to be the CEO, and you're going to be the dishwasher. You're going to do everything. Wherever you need, that's what you got to do. And I feel like executives today, with these big corporations, flying around in private jets, hanging out with their buddies, they're not going to do any of that. And I read another comment that said, there's plenty of jobs, but nobody wants to do them. And I would actually agree with that. I think that there's so many jobs out there, but they don't pay. And that's a problem. You can find a job quite easily, but it doesn't pay. For minimum wage, like for minimum wage to go to work, if you have a tech degree, you have a bachelor's, you went to college and you did a whole bunch of stuff, you can't pay your bills like that. And depending on where you live, if you live in the Bay Area or you live in Florida, now with minimum wage, you just can't make it. And the idea is nice, but you just can't do it. So that's why they rely on tips. That's why they're like, hey, you got to flip the screen, and then there's a 20, 30, and 40% tip option. So they just, so hopefully you tip a lot. But people are fed up with that too, because then they're like, why would I tip a barista when I walk up there, I order it, and I pick it up? You're not going to give me great customer service. You're not going to add anything else. And I was actually at a Starbucks in Prim where there was a big sign that says no hoodies inside. So I asked the barista, why do you not need a hoodie inside? And then she got so defensive and got in my face and said, have you ever been robbed at gunpoint? And I said, no, but I've been in the military. What does that have to do with not wearing a hoodie? They're like, well, that protects us. And I was like, how does not wearing a hoodie protect you? Well, it's just store policy. And I was like, if you're gonna rob a a store, you really think a sign not wearing a hoodie inside is going to stop them? And people just don't think common, like common sense anymore. If somebody's going to do something stupid, they're not going to stop, because the same mentality would be, hey, you can't be speeding, there's a speed sign. You can't be going 50 miles an hour, it's a 45. And so it's like, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it even if there's a sign or not. So yeah, people just don't want to work for no pay, and they got to increase pay, then the prices increase, and it's a whole snowball where there's even more layoffs because people can't make it. Then there's empty stores, and they can't they can't fill their stores. Then rent, then the landlord's got to, decrease rent and do all that. And then it's a whole big cycle because people, all these tech workers, they went out to eat, they bought clothes, they went to fitness clubs, they went to nutritional stores, they went to restaurants, right? And once you're being let go, you're going to cut that down real quick. And once you cut that down and you're like job searching, you're not going to do fun activities. And yeah, it might be right as long as you got severance. And a lot of people got severance. I don't know about anybody in Europe, but in the US, if you were in a tech company like Microsoft, man, you got away great. You can go on a 6-month vacation and still have a year of severance left after a 6 month vacation, depending on how long you've been there. And it's just crazy. I mean, 100,000 layoffs, recession, global depression, here we go. Because 100,000 people making, tech salaries are normally higher than other ones. And now they're not going to spend their money. And rich people, they spent their money at different places than these tech people. Like these tech bros, they go to Patagonia and do, and go out eating in the Bay Area and doing all that. But these super wealthy CEOs, they don't go there. They go do their own thing. They fly to their private island and do crazy stuff there, right? They go just do insane amount of stuff that we don't even know about, because one of my comments that I read actually said that she, they, them, whatever, was working for an accountant company that was constantly trying to tell their executives, hey, you cannot use the private jet to go to vacation spots. You cannot use the private jet to take your family on vacation. And they were trying to like justify it and trying to, put it, make it with taxing all right. But I was like, man, gosh, how do I become somebody like that gets to use the company private jet to fly to go skiing in Aspen? If you guys know, let me know in the comments, because I would love to have a private jet going to Aspen and not really do much. So yeah, frankly, I think it's all greed. I think all these people, these executives, they want to pay themselves more, increase stock prices, and then fire everybody. I think they would, and just have nobody else left besides them. Just like this guy right here. They would let that guy go just because. So these are my thoughts about these 100,000 layoffs. Let me know what topic I should do next. And if you watch for so long, think about considering joining the channel membership. We're going to do some pretty cool stuff. I appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.